Who are the top 5 defenders for your Michigan State football Spartans this upcoming season? Also, Malik Hall back in action. That's very exciting. Then, yeah, sure. All sorts of mailbag questions. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to today's show of Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 3 days a week for this week. That's right, next week, as oh my goodness gracious, we are kicking off August. We're back to 5 days a week. Before we get into the meat of the show, 2 important things. Number 1, hey, please rate, review, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the podcast. Go ahead and leave us 5 stars if you are feeling that nice this morning. An important item. Number 2, hey, shout out to my mom. Happy birthday. That's right. Great Locked On Spartans listener. Even better mother. So, hey, hope you have a great week, Mom. And let's get into the mix here. And speaking of birthdays, hey, happy belated birthday to this emailer. That's right. He goes by the name of Carter. And he writes in the question that's going to set the table for this first segment here. Who would you say is the best player on Michigan State's defense? I know different defensive players have different responsibilities on the different levels, but is it Simeon Barrow? Is it Jacoby Windmon, Kyle Haladay, maybe even Angelo, Grose, Chuck Brantley, or Derek Harmon? Well, Carter, we can't just simply answer that question. No, of course, we have to make things a little more difficult here on Locked On Spartans, and we're going to go ahead and rank the top 5 players for your Michigan State Spartans going into the upcoming season. Now, hey, couldn't even make it 3 minutes into the show without, cheating at this very simple premise, because we're not going to do just top 5. I want to name an honorable mention to get this started. And this is a name we all know. It's a name that could be really good, a player that could be in the top 3 by the middle of the season. And if I remember, which don't hold your hopes up for that, but sometime in the middle of this upcoming season, we'll do another top 5 ranking to see how close we are and if anyone's having a better season than we predicted. Kind of like who I have as honorable mention, or guy number 6, that's Darius Snow. Of course, that's a player that we know for only good reasons. I mean, he came into last year as arguably the best tackler on the team, arguably the best athlete on this team as well, has experience at safety, at nickel, linebacker. He's as versatile as it gets on this defense, but of course, as we all unfortunately remember, had a devastating leg injury in that first game against Western last year. So that's why I have him honorable mention, outside looking in. I don't know if we're going to get 100% Darius Snow. From what I've heard, and this could be wrong, but I do trust these people that I talk to. They've been right on a lot of other different things. It wasn't even a guarantee that Darius Snow would come back to playing football after that injury he had last year. It was a really gruesome injury that he had. So just to get to the point of coming back this season is impressive enough. Will we get the old Darius Snow that we know? Will we just get 80% of him? Even if it is 80%, is that still a top 5 defender on this team? I want to kick that can down the road a little bit. So I just want to sit on, Darius Snow for now. He could be that great player that we all remember, but man, I just want to reiterate, that leg injury was a lot worse than maybe a lot of us were led on to believe. So, hey, glad to see him strapping up the helmet this year. Let's see what he does this upcoming year. So number 5, we're going to go with a young gun here for number 5. We're going to go Jaden Mangum for number 5 best defensive player on the team. Former All-American in high school, consensus 4-star across pretty much every single recruiting site. If there's a recruiting site that had him rated as 3 stars, I'm not aware of them. But he had 2 starts last year. He did miss some time in the Wisconsin game. He missed some time in the Penn State game. And I shouldn't say some time. He missed both those games outright. He missed some time in the Ohio State game. And he had 2 starts. And he was slated to have a lot more starts if it wasn't for that lingering injury issue that he had in the second half of the season. This is a kid that, was thrown into the fire, as many players were last year with the list of injuries. But yes, Jaden Mangum, the safety out of Metro Detroit, I'm going to have for number 5. Now, number 4, another Metro Detroit kid, or actually he's just from straight up Detroit, Derek Harmon. We have on this Locked On Spartans podcast, we have been on Derek Harmon for quite some time, specifically Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. This was before Derek even signed at Michigan State. When he verbally committed, Stephen Brooks was saying, I've seen this kid in camps. It makes zero sense whatsoever for him to be just a 3-star defensive tackle. He is the real deal. And he's a young player. It was just his redshirt freshman season last year, but he's already caught the eye of plenty of people, including quarterbacks too. I mean, this guy is a run-stopping defensive tackle, 6'5", 320 pounds. That's a whole lot of beef coming at you if you're a running back. But he also had the 4th most quarterback pressures on the team last year with 15. You don't really see that a whole lot out of defensive tackle. So, yeah, I mean, just a great season for Derek last year. So that's why we have him slated at number 4. Now, number 3. That's right. We're going to start to get controversial, as if we haven't, already been. I'm sure there's some people that have already disagreed with stuff along the way. If so, let us know. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com or comment below on YouTube. Number 3, Cal Haladay. Cal Haladay. That's right. Just 120 tackles last year. I mean, that is the most of any returning player in the Big Ten for this upcoming season. He had 11 tackles for loss. That was the most on Michigan State last year. And look, he's as good of a run stopper as they come in the conference. There are 2 guarantees in life, is that the sun will rise in the East every Saturday this upcoming season. And also on those Saturdays, well, whenever there's a run play, Cal Haladay's helmet will be at that football. We've seen it from his true freshman season. We saw it last year. Really, barring any injury issues coming up, you can count on him being at every single run play for the most part this upcoming season. So yes, Cal Haladay, great player on this team. We have him for number 3. Number 2, we're going to go back in the trenches. We're going to go back to the beef. I'm going to go with Simeon Barrow, a.k.a. 8-Ball is what his teammates call him, because, God, at 6'3", 290 pounds, and not just a 290 pounds, but a shredded 290 pounds. I mean, this guy looks like the Hulk. If you've seen any workout pictures, and, well, if you've seen him play the game of American football, he also plays defensive tackle like the Hulk as well. This isn't just me, a Michigan State slappy very high on Simeon Barrow. Got it on pretty good reference that he was, if there's an award for most tampered with player in the offseason, he might have taken that medal. There are a lot of other programs across the country that would have loved one Simeon Barrow to join their trenches as well. So, no, he said, that's okay. I'll stick up here in East Lansing. 3rd team all-conference last year, 28 quarterback pressures, 4th best in the conference, guys. And that's for a defensive tackle. That's not too shabby. 9 tackles for loss. That is most of any lineman at Michigan State. And Simeon Barrow, look, I mean, we just named off some pretty good stats there, but hey, the defensive tackle position really doesn't rack up a lot of stats on paper. But man, if you go back this year and watch some games back, you will notice that Simeon Barrow is a game wrecker. He was outstanding as a redshirt sophomore last year. I can only imagine after a strong workout regimen in the offseason, he will come back even stronger and become one of the best defensive tackles in the conference. So we have Simeon Barrow at number 2, but my God, Simeon Barrow and Derek Harmon side by side, throwing Tunmise, Adeleye, Jalen Sami, if you will, Dre Butler. It's going to be fun in the trenches this year, guys. Number 1, drum roll, please. You guys have probably, by process of elimination, have figured out who's going to be number 1, but we're still going to do this drum roll. Jacoby Windmon. Jacoby Windmon. It's Jacoby Windmon, guys. That is my number 1 player on this defense. 2nd most sacks per game in the conference last season. 6 forced fumbles, and that was a nation high. All right, he missed 4 games at the end of the year with suspension, and he still led the nation in forced fumbles. He spotted the rest of the country a month of football, and no, he's still the top guy. 6th player ever in the conference to win Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week 3 times in the same season. And guys, he did it at defensive end. Now he's going back to his natural position of linebacker. That's what he was at UNLV when he was a stud for the Running Rebels. But yes, this is a linebacker, one of the best in the conference. And I can't be more excited to see Jacoby Windmon back, because yes, he missed the last month of the season with that suspension. And I feel like everyone just kind of forgot about Jacoby Windmon, not on any all Big Ten teams. You read a lot of previews and it's like, well, the defense is going to be strong. Hey, Jacoby Windmon's a guy. Like, no, he ain't a guy. That's a certified dog playing linebacker. So, yes, I am thrilled to see what Jacoby Windmon will do for his encore season at Michigan State. So, yeah, that is the top 5. We'll be doing top 5 offense next week. We will, of course, have an episode about the offensive guys. And if you have a top 5 offensive list at the top of your head, again, lockedonspartans@gmail.com or comment below on YouTube. Next up, hey, need to talk your ear off about eBay Motors for a championship team. It's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit, or hey, it's your money right back to you. And hey, just like sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, heavens, that's a lot of parts. You will be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home that win when you get the right parts that are guaranteed. So get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices, guys, on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. It's eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions, you got that right, Buster, they apply. We're going to switch things up to the basketball court here, guys. And also, really quick, hey, before we do get to the basketball court, there are some honorable mentions for top 5 defensive players. You got Marquis Lowry, a guy that's a pretty solid cornerback, just has injury issues like his running mate, Chuck Brantley. Tunmise, Adeleye, of course, the former 5-star, well, depending on what recruiting site. How about this? Consensus top 50 recruit Tunmise Adeleye from Texas A&M. He could have a great season. Malik Spencer, the other young safety, Dylan Tatum, Jalen Sami. I mean, again, if I remember, it's like a 45% chance that I do. We will do this halfway through the season, maybe over the bye week. Now, as we were saying, back to the hardwood. Look, it's July. There's not a lot to talk about. Michigan State on Twitter, they posted a video of some off-season practices before the weekend started, and it's cool. It's hype. Gets the jollies going, if you will, gets you fired up for basketball season. But hold on. In the last 4 seconds of that video, Malik Hall is seen shooting a basketball. It appears that he is part of the scrimmage in practice, and that's big news because, hey, if you remember, at the end of last season, Malik Hall had foot surgery because the poor kid just can't stay healthy. But yes, he is back in action, at least as practice goes. So things are trending in the right direction for Malik Hall. And hey, would you look at that? Wow, how coincidental is this? Gavin writes in lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Just wanted to get your thoughts about the importance of getting Malik Hall back for the year. I'm hoping some of Hauser parallels, like Joey was the scapegoat in 22. Everyone had a lot of hate for him, but then answered it with a fantastic 2023 season. And I think a veteran player like Malik can definitely have a major impact in many different ways. Gavin also writes, I've heard a lot of talk saying, hey, this is just the same average MSU team from last year minus Joey and adding some freshmen. Why would they be a top 5 team? But I think a healthy Hall can make much more difference than people think. Would love to hear your thoughts. Enjoying the show as usual. Hey, thank you, Gavin, very much. And also, you know what? Let's work backwards here. Why are they in the top 5? Because I've heard this too. Why they just won 2 games in March Madness and all of a sudden they're a top 5 team? Well, yeah, sure, they're adding some freshmen. Here's step 1, though. It's not just some freshmen. All right, it's a consensus top 5 class coming in. You have Xavier Booker. You have Jeremy Fears, who can contribute immediately. Cohen Carr, who has the athleticism of an NBA player right now. And then Garrick Norman, too. I mean, don't sleep on him. But also, hey, Malik Hall is part of this reason why Michigan State is a top 5 team. Yes, you had the emergence of Jaden Akins. He had an extraordinary last month to his season. But hey, what do Tyson Walker, AJ Hogard, and Malik Hall all have in common? Well, you can name a lot of things, but the one I'm thinking of is they're all over the age of 23 years old. That is geezer status as far as college basketball goes, but that is a lot of experience, not just experience, but talent coming back next year. Guys, I get it. Just like Gavin wrote, there are a lot of people that were dogging on Malik Hall late in the season, specifically the last month of the season. And oh yeah, that's right. The same month of the season where Malik Hall pushed his way back from injury. And name your injury. Was it the back injury, the foot injury? I'm starting to lose count of what Malik Hall injury it was, but he was not 100% at the end of last year. Yes, I know that, caught on the wrong end of some highlights in that Kansas State game defensively. But I think overall, look, this is what Malik can bring to the table. I think he is a plus defender at that 4 position, whereas Joey Hauser, great career, great senior year last year. Not known as a defender, though. All right, Malik Hall, better defender than Joey Hauser. And I'm not saying that you could just plug in Malik for Joey and you're going to get the same player plus a better defender. Like, Joey a much better shooter. But hey, Malik Hall also brings in a career 37% shooting record to this team. Yes, he had 32% shooting last year. Take a wild guess which month his shooting really cratered at from behind three-point. Oh, yeah, it's the one where he was playing with an injury the last few weeks of the season. Guys, I think this injury impacted Malik a lot more than a lot of us think. And Michigan State, unlike they will this upcoming season, didn't have the luxury of just, hey, we have a lot of depth. This is great. No, Malik, take your time back from injury. Like they kind of needed him, and I think he knew that, so that's why he pushed his way back from injury just to have people online not happy with his play. Imagine that. Also, hey, look, he could take it to the low block. He could shoot above 60% on the low block. Very similar numbers to Joey Hauser last year, actually, in close 2-point field goal percentage. But, hey, look, he knows his role as well. This might be the most important thing he brings back to this team is the intangible stuff, the stuff that's not in the box score. Like, hey, having the experience of being a guy that's over 23 years old, being a captain on the court when he is there, just knowing his role too. Because I don't think Malik Hall's a dummy. I don't think he's going to come into the season thinking that, oh yeah, I'm going to be a number 1 or number 2 option on the court whenever I'm on the floor. Now, I think he's going to look around him and see, hey, Jaden Aiken's over there. Got A.J. Hogarth over here. I had Tyson Walker over here. And then, oh yeah, here's a freak freshman behind me, Cohen Carr. Like, at best, he's going to be like that 3rd option on the court. Maybe there'll be some times where he is that 2 option, but we've seen it throughout Tom Izzo's tenure that older experienced guys have taken a back seat and understand their role and know what makes a championship team, like Gavin Schilling, how he took a back seat later in his career. Tum Nairn took a back seat in his career as well. I think Malik Hall's going to fall in that same category. I think he's going to be a little more effective than a Gavin Schilling or Tum Nairn. No disrespect to them, but I think he's going to know his role. He is going to be whether it be his vocal voice or just leading by example, he's going to be a leader of this team. And I think we all just need to remember who Malik Hall was before that injury last year. And I know that's tough because, well, what's the easiest thing to remember? The most recent games that happened. And yeah, that's where Malik's kind of started to falter a little bit. But again, guys, an injury so bad he needed surgery on it after the season. Like, let's give Malik a break here. So yes, Gavin, you've come to the right place. This is Locked On Spartans, but it might as well be Locked On Malik Hall apologist here. And you know what? We hear that too. Like, hey, wow, you're putting a lot of your eggs in the Malik Hall basket. Are you sure you want to do that? And yeah, as long as we all have the right expectations for him, I'm not saying he's going to be a 22-14 guy next year. Like, no, he's going to be a solid player and the kind of player that you need to be the glue on the court with the rest of the guys there. We're going to keep the basketball questions going here. Andy writes in. Now, he wrote in 3 questions, but we're just going to pick out one for this episode. Sorry, Andy. But also, thank you, Andy. Basketball question. What numbers will our incoming players have? I have a blank number 5 basketball jersey back in the Paul Davis days, and I've been lucky enough to wear it to rep Adrian Payne, rest in peace, the Wizard Cassius, and other greats. Hey, shout out to Chris Hill as well. That's another great number 5. All right, so he also wrote in, I saw a clip of Cohen Carr wearing a number 5, but that's Trey Holloman's. How do those get sorted out? Trey Holloman still will be number 5 this upcoming year. And what I'm basing this off of is the practice videos that Michigan State has put out. I was almost Zapruder film trying to find Garrick Norman's number. And there is a slight 0.7-second clip of Garrick Norman where you can read the number 10 on his jersey. So yes, Garrick Norman is number 10. Cohen Carr, he's going to be number 7 this upcoming season. Xavier Booker, 34. And then Jeremy Fears I love this one because I think he's going to have a special career at Michigan State. Not a good career, not a really, really good career. I think Jeremy Fears can have a special career in East Lansing, and that is why he's wearing the number 1. So, Cohen Carr, number 7. Jeremy Fears, number 1. Xavier Booker, 34. And then Garrick Norman is your 10. To keep it on the hardwood, and also, hey, this is going to go hand in hand with that video that Michigan State put out before the weekend started, because it wasn't just Malik Hall that had a quick little clip in there that we took a lot out of. I mean, and how pathetic does that sound too, right? Like, we're breaking down 50-second hype videos on social media, but hey, you know what? There actually could be something here that we've also have not talked about. Darren wrote in, now this is a while ago, so sorry it took a while to get to this question, Darren, but hey, Matt, been listening to the podcast for a while now and wanted to get your opinion on Kohler's future. Of course, Jaxon Kohler is who he is referring to. If he makes a big step this year and starts shooting the 3, does he have the possibility of getting drafted sometime before he leaves Michigan State? Really quick, I think Jaxon Kohler, 4-year player at Michigan State. Of course, with the transfer portal this day and age, I mean, hey, could wrap up his career elsewhere, but for sake of conversation, 4-year college player is what I expect him to be. Look, I mean, does he have a strong size? Yes, 6'9". The story about his body has been he's got to trim the baby fat, of course, is what everyone talks about, and hard not to agree with that as well. He does look a lot more trim so far in these practice clips, the Moneyball clips. Needs to be quicker with his feet, just a better defender, better finisher at the rim. For a big man, he was at 60% last year, which is average. You want that to be a little better, though, especially with the great footwork he has. I mean, there were a handful of times last year, incredible footwork, dancing to the rim, wide open 3-foot jumper or hook or layup, and came up a little bit short. So needs to be a better finisher at the rim. But, however, let's talk about that clip, because during this little hype video, Jaxon Kohler popping a three-pointer. That's right. And look, this isn't Moneyball where these guys are just out there raining threes because, we're all having a good time. There's no defense. This is just for fun. Like, no, these are in Tom Izzo facilitated practices. If a kid is shooting a three-pointer that's not supposed to shoot a three-pointer, I don't think Tom's going to take kindly to that. So could a Jaxon Kohler three-point game be something we are going to see this year? I mean, I wouldn't count on it, but maybe. I mean, that would be a big upgrade to his package. Now, Jaxon Kohler last year took 2 3-pointers, and look, there's a lot of Michigan State memories that take up way too much space in my brain, but I would be lying to you if I said that I remember either of those 2 3-point attempts. They were both misses. Now, on lawn 2s, that's not to say he didn't shoot and make jumpers last year. On lawn 2s last year, 22 of 56, which is a pretty good volume for as much as Jaxon played. Now, he shot 39% on those last year, which is, again, an average number, probably pretty good for a guy his size if we're going to talk positionally. But, yeah, like that is something that was in his high school tape, his film, something that made him special, that highly rated 4-star recruit, is that, yeah, he can shoot the ball, just didn't see it a lot last year. Now, am I expecting him to have, like, Joey Hauser numbers where he's shooting north of 100 threes on the season? Like, no, absolutely not. But maybe, I don't know, every third game he's shooting a 3 and maybe he's making a few of them at a 33% clip. Like that would something to monitor this upcoming season. I think it'd be more so in his junior year where he starts to really let it fly a little bit. But hey, yeah, maybe in desperation this year. I mean, maybe you do see 23s from Jaxon this year, but no, I don't think it would make him a draftable player. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, if Kohler's listening right now, or the Kohler family, I mean, I love your game, Jaxon. Don't get me wrong here. Don't take this as a slight, or do take it as a slight and let that be another chip on your shoulder. But yeah, that's just how I read the whole Jaxon Kohler situation, and just wanted to add that other 2 seconds that we saw in that clip before the weekend here. Zach writes in, now, hey, 'tis the season for this question. It's going to be a big week, especially for us Michigan State Spartans that are very online and know what Zach is talking about. Matt, I know this will have nothing to do with the video. Sorry, this was a comment on the Carson Cooper interview. If you did not watch or listen to that episode before the weekend, What do you think that the 7/28/23 date the football team keeps pushing out is? Is it new uniforms, or do you think by some chance it's Charles Lester committing and giving us a 5-star maybe? Now, Charles Lester, 5-star defensive back from down south, he's been tweeting about Michigan State here and there. He was on an unofficial visit in the month of June not too long ago. But look, what I would bet my life savings on is that 7/28 is not going to be about a recruit. It will not be about a commit. I mean, look, just to give you a very recent example of how crazy recruiting is and how little you can count on it. Dylan Williams, 4-star linebacker from California, from the accounts that I've heard, and they're very reputable, told the staff that he was committing to Michigan State at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. By 4 p.m., everything changed. I'm actually going to Oregon tomorrow. Sorry about that. So, no, Michigan State on social media has been teasing the surprise drop, a surprise announcement on 7/28 coming up this weekend, of course. I don't think they'd be planning weeks ahead for a recruit when they just very recently found out, and they probably knew this beforehand, but very recently found out that you can't even count on recruiting to be true for an hour. I mean, let alone a full month of teasing something. But I want the record to show. I will continue to reiterate this. I have no idea what is going on 7/28. And quite frankly, I do not want to know. I like the surprise. I love this. This has been very fun. They've put out a lot of videos, a lot of photos, a lot of teasers, if you will. And the last time we talked about this, I thought that, yes, it'll be a black uniform for the upcoming season, more specifically, a gruff, Sparty, neon black uniform for the upcoming season. That's my guess. Now, there have been hints ever since, and there was a clip of Noah Kim throwing a football. Nothing much to it, right? I mean, they focused on his wristband. Everyone said focus on the wristband that he's wearing. Now, quite frankly, I forgot what it said because I was not, that was a, what do they call it? A red herring? I'm butchering the figure of speech, but I think that was a smoke signal. The shirt Noah Kim was wearing had a lot of binary code on it, like the 1001101, very computerized. I'm starting to think maybe it's like a digital camo black uniform for this upcoming season. Maybe I'm doing a reach there, but that is my guess. I think it is going to be jersey or uniform based. One of the hints was a bridge, and it was on Nike's campus. That's why I think that. But again, I would be honest with you if I actually knew what it was. I would not be spoiling the surprise. I'm playing along with the rest of you here. My guess is black uniforms is what will be announced this upcoming weekend. I could be bang on. I could be so far off that this will be very funny in hindsight. But yes, that is what I am thinking. And to take us home, Dustin with another mailbag question. You seem to be someone who enjoys collecting items. Well, what would make you think that, Dustin? That's right. There's a bunch of memorabilia behind me, a bunch more in my basement and stuffed away because I don't even have a place to put it. But yes, I do love collecting items and making a little Michigan State museum, if you will. Anyway, he writes on, I recently bought a piece of the floor for the 2000 basketball season and want to get it signed by preferably Izzo or someone on the team. Do you have any tips for getting autographs you could share either on the pod or via email? Let's do it on the podcast. And do you normally buy items that already have autographs? To answer that last question, I've done both. I've bought pre-signed stuff. I've bought stuff hoping to get it signed, of course. But to get something signed by Izzo, get a pen and paper out because Tom Izzo's address is... No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Shoot for events that he's going to be at, like the coaches show up at Reno's. If you are in the Lansing area, I know a good deal of people that have gotten luck there, bring an item. I think that they take them all and make sure that he signs a good, not every item, but a good number of them while he goes up there. Or if you're at the Izzo 10K, for example, that's another great event. Or, hey, if you're shameless enough to give it to a kid to have it signed at the Izzo campout, I've heard of some people getting as desperate as that, giving the college kid hey, here's $20, kid. Can you get this signed by Izzo for me? And let me tell you, I was much cheaper back in college. You could have got me for $5. But yeah, that's another route to go about it too. Or just any fundraiser event that he's going to be at is a good way to go about it. Izzo is no stranger to signing a lot of autographs. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's tough, but hey, that's all about the chase. That's what it's about in this little sick hobby. So, but yeah, I mean, is always one of the more friendly guys when it does come to autographs. So good luck. Go get him. Would not walk up to him in the middle of a game or sit behind the bench in a Big Ten conference game and just hound him for the autograph the entire game. I would get him at like a more casual, laid-back event. Again, guys, lockedonspartans@gmail.com if you ever want to reach out. Hey, this upcoming week, we have Big Ten Media Days, so we'll be talking about that, of course, and any news that breaks between now and the end of the week. Come on, you know where to find us, Locked on Spartans. Now go enjoy your week, you lovely people. Love you all. Go Green.